Jenkins, you're in the car like me.
We running and gunning, we rocking and rolling. We in the fast lane, so it's all good. I'm just glad to get to like have 5 seconds with my sister. That's all I'm saying.
No, you'll forever be my brother. I'm like, I was so used to calling you Pastor Charles Jenkins. I'm like, am I out of order by just saying Charles Jenkins? Is that okay?
No, you not. But everybody still call me pastor, and it's a bunch of people that double down on it. Like they like I'm called, but it's black people. Like Barack still our president.
Uh, you are so good. You're so right about that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we
how we
miss you in
do it.
yeah, we miss you in Chicago, but I'm quite sure you miss us too. But you don't miss this snow and this cold weather we got right now.
Everybody's been inboxing me, texting me, sending me pictures, and like my staff team, like I've had people be like, man, like I'm gonna FedEx some of this 80 degrees to you.
If that was possible, that would be a good thing. But no,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but we rolling with it like we
Favorite
normally do
city in the
around this
world.
time of year. Yep, shy
Now,
town, shy town. And so,
Chicago is still good to me. It's my favorite city in the world, so I still claim it as home, and I'm still helping and stuff.
uh-huh. Yep, I know you fellowship. The ship is in good hands with Pastor Sharp and Lady Bree. They're doing a wonderful job. So you need to be celebrated for that because you did it the right way.
Oh yeah, I appreciate killing it. I'm a member. I'm still a member. I'm a tithing member. We send our tithes and offerings every we're on direct draft, and I'm not the pastor no more. But Chicago is still my city.
Amen. I love it. I love it. And I'm glad that you and your family are okay. I saw that there was a COVID outbreak with your family. Like everybody got it except for one of your daughters, right?
I thought I was going to heaven 3 times. COVID ain't no joke, ladies and gentlemen. Take your vitamins. It was
Wow. So
terrible.
your symptoms was very severe.
Yeah, I was in bad shape. I was in bad
Oh wow.
shape, but I was determined not to go to the hospital. I had my own ventilator. I wasn't gonna let them put me on one. I'm praying for all of the people who got family members in that
Hmm.
situation because it's not it's bad. Like it's very bad.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
we
I'm
need to take
great.
it more
Everybody's
seriously.
great. We
Hmm.
had it in November, but
Oh
we
wow.
everybody's great, and we're very grateful.
Hmm. Are they pushing for people to take the vaccine where you are? Do you have any personal feelings on that or that you want to share?
I'm like everybody else. Initially there was apprehension. I think with anything there should be investigation and confirmation around what it is, what it does,
Uh-huh.
what are the potential risk factors, what are the potential effects. But I've had conversations with lots of highly qualified, highly reputable doctors who have all said, you know, take it, take it. I'm coming to Chicago to take the shot because
Hmm.
I'm still a Chicago resident, even though I'm in California. So I'm coming to Chicago to take the shot, and I was
Okay.
actually able to help a bunch of other people get the shot by partnering with a clinic there to try to get more African Americans to take it. So whatever influence I have in the city, I wanna use it to and leverage it to help people who want to take it. There are a bunch of people who want to. I get the apprehensions, but what doctors are saying to me is it lessens the chance of COVID taking your life. So
I
your
see.
risk is
Right.
higher to not take it than it is to take it.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, with that being said, we're probably going to use you for for a panel to get some information out there to help educate our people so that they can hear some sound voices that they trust. So just be on the lookout for an invitation that's coming real soon about that, if you don't mind.
Sign
Yeah,
me up.
yeah.
I'm
All right.
I'm happy to do it. No, I'm happy to do it because our people, you know, and I didn't do a lot of press conferences and I wasn't visible, but I was behind the scenes on a bunch of stuff, like, you know, getting our people to be organ donors, you know, and dispelling those myths
Okay.
and all of that stuff that keeps us from participating in life saving, save our own lives,
Mhm.
and tons of that
Okay.
kind of stuff, tons of that health
That's
stuff. So
that's good. Well,
try
thank
to
you
keep us
so
out the
so much.
hospital.
You're right about that. Thank you so much for keeping us inspired with your music. You know, we've always supported you and Fellowship Chicago, from Awesome to War to what we're playing right now. He'll make it all right. It's just the perfect fit, the perfect message with the season that we're in. And you got another number one hit on your hand there, Charles Jenkins. I don't know what the formula is that you use, but it works.
The formula is 1390. You need 13. So I want to say thank you and to the whole to your people and Chicago. I'm so grateful. Hey, the He'll Make It All Right record is I wanted to put something out that would fuel people's faith, but it was happy. You know,
Oh,
I wanted to put a smile in people's heart, put some bounce, and but I'm really excited. I'm gonna drop an album next. I'm gonna drop 3 albums this year. I'm gonna drop one next month, and I'm gonna do a virtual album release concert. My artist Donisha Ballard, I just dropped a song called Jesus Christ on her, so I'm gonna have that as a part of the the concert. I'm gonna do virtual concert next month, and I gotta get you that Jesus Christ song. It's an anthem, like it's gonna be like one of those kind of anthems.
okay, cool. Yeah, he'll make it all right. Like you said, is the perfect fit. And any remixes coming to that? Because I know you did. You remixed Grace, which we loved a lot. Anything you're gonna do with that song, or are you just gonna pretty much move on to the next song after?
I'm gonna probably do two. I got a remix in the works with Mr. Talkbox,
Okay.
and man, somebody called Bishop Hezekiah Walker. He swears 9 times he's gonna do the remix, and I done sent him the song, I done sent him the session, I done sent him, but to his defense, you know, he's been like getting in a studio in the pandemic, has been tough in New York. So to his defense, but he done told me 9 times that he wants to do the remix. So Bishop
Mhm.
Hezekiah Walker is supposed to be on the He'll Make It All Right remix, but we gonna see. We gonna see.
Wow, incredible. I'm glad that you're still doing music. I'm still happy that that's a part of who you are and your makeup. Because you deposited that in our spirits, and it's something that we expect from you, even though you're not pastoring there at Fellowship. We're so glad that it's still a part of your DNA, and that you put out great music.
I thought about retiring from music, and then I went from thinking about retiring to putting out 3 albums. I'm gonna put out 3 albums this year.
So,
People don't know
you
how
know
much
who you
the
know you
music
need to
is.
include on that. Uh-huh. You need to include the Sharps if you do some more music, because they can show enough sing. We've seen that many times on the church services and all those viral videos they've done. They need to be in the mix of any music that you do.
Are you a member of Fellowship? Did you
I'm
join
not. I'm not a
after I
member.
left?
No, not officially.
I say join. I'm a part of the recruitment program. I'm recruiting all the time. Join the ship. My pastor, first lady, they are gifted, anointed, and they're down home, beautiful people. Fellowship. 700 people joined in the pandemic. Did virtually.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And
Get
I
on
mean,
board.
like and like I said earlier in the conversation, which kind of ties into your book, the season of transition, and that transition that you made possible with Reverend Sharp, that we saw happen even with you with the late Reverend Clay Evans. And I'm quite sure you speak a lot of it about it in your book. But I mean, you just set them up right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was no confusion. It was not messy. I mean, the city of Chicago embraced who they were, what they brought to the table. It was just like seamless to me. You know, from the outside looking in, it was like seamless. And just to be sensitive to those various seasons in our lives, it makes it even that more better when the transitions take place.
Yes. The project that I'm gonna drop next month, I did a remake of the Hawkins's Potter's House.
Okay.
And so I got both of them on there. I got them in the studio. They sound amazing. And it's so cute, you know,
Right.
Papa Shop and Mama Shop. So it's
Oh,
gonna be great.
wow.
It's very special though. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, you're such a visionary. Like, you see things that people don't see, and you just have a way of making things work. And so, you know, you've been gone for about a year. It's been a year since they've been pastoring fellowship. I think it's been a year because they celebrated their first year anniversary. So I guess during this time, you were able to write a book, which is powerful, called Seasons. And so during this book, did you kind of reflect back on your time at fellowship and the transition that happened between you and Reverend Evans, and then also thereafter with the Sharps?
You know, the book chronicles my transition. When I announced my retirement, I trended on all social media. You were the first to break the news when I made the announcement. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? I trended on all social media for 2 days.
Okay.
And it started with you. And everybody was asking me questions. I mean, everybody you want to name called me, and they were like, why? What are you doing? Like, you don't have to. And Reverend Evans had always said it's going to be 2 pastors in 100 years. So everybody basically expected that I would be there for 50 years too, because he always said that. And I just told people my season is up, and nobody could get their head around that. Pastors, business leaders, political leaders, civil rights, like everybody was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. Everything's great. My season is up. The same God that gave me the edict to go gave me a green light. That same God could give me a red light. And once I continue to explain that all of our lives are framed in scenes and segments of life, of time, just like a script, all of our lives are framed in one big timeline, but they're broken up into periods. And you got to be able to recognize those red lights, yellow lights, and green lights in your life. You got to know what season of life you're in, so you know what you are doing and what you aren't doing. So in the book, I list, you know, are you in a learning season? Are you in a rest season? Are you in a running season? Are you in a transitional season, a grieving season? You got to know what season you're in so you could be mentally prepared and mentally sound so that you can adjust to do what you're supposed to be doing and know the things that you're not supposed to be doing. Then you got to have the tools. Like, do you know how to hear from God? Do you know how to discover your purpose? Do you know, like, it's all of these things. So what I do in the book is I just break down all of this everyday stuff that doesn't just apply to me, but it applies to anybody, because there's no way I would have left if I didn't have that ear and know how God works with me. He works with everybody differently. He spoke to Moses through a burning bush. He spoke to Jonah through a well. He spoke to Gideon through an angel. I can go down the line, but I get into it in the book to kind of help walk people through whatever season of life you're in. So it's really exciting. I'm gonna coach people this year.
That's amazing. And I mean, your testimony is perfect for a book like this. And so, you know, a lot of us, we may not know, like, when our season is up for something. For some reason, I don't know, like, is there, like, what happens? How can you have that sensitivity that there is a shifting, or that there's a season, like something is happening, like, you know that your season is up? Like, what is it like? How do we know that, like, for sure, for sure? Or is that a faith thing? I don't know. How do you explain that?
It's a list of things. So in the book, I talk about when I knew my time was up, it was a combination of things. It wasn't a red light. I didn't get a red light. It all started with a yellow light. Slow down, contemplate, think. Another chapter in the book talks about the right relationships. I had a personal board of directors that I talked to and just said, I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable. I'm kind of feeling out of sorts. I'm kind of feeling like my time is coming to an end. They pushed back on me. And I get into this in the book. You got to have people who can challenge your feelings, your convictions, push back on you. And so it's a combination of faith and works, heaven and earth. And I think for me, one of the prayers that I had been praying as I was talking to God, and it's not this hyper spiritual, I was just kind of asking God, have I done everything I'm supposed to do here? Are there other things I'm supposed to do? I had vision for days. I had ideas for days.
Right.
So what was it that I ran out of vision? It wasn't that but I did sense this discomfort, love the people, love the place, couldn't imagine being anywhere else. But, I think I reached a point where things that I would look forward to doing with so much joy and so much passion, I no longer had that same passion. I would look forward to meetings. I didn't want to go to meetings. I would look forward to just so many aspects of my role. And I just didn't have that same interest that I had once had. Still had interest in the people, still had love for the people, still wanted needs to be met, still made sure people were served through delegating. But I think for anybody, you got to be honest about where your passion lies and what you feel like God is pointing you towards. And for me, those symbols and those signs, even after I went on vacation and got rest, I'd be rested. Normally, when I would come back rested, my staff would be afraid. Oh my God, he done got rest. He finna have 900 ideas. We finna get worked to death. I would come back from vacation and it would be like, and so I started asking tough questions. And it's not a bad thing. The greatest thing anybody can do is have a fight with yourself to make sure you're in the will of God. And I think for a lot of people overstay, underproduce, and live out of the will of God because we don't wrestle with ourselves. And one day in prayer, God said to me, and when I say in prayer, for me, it's a constant communication. I pray without ceasing. So I say, if you open to God all the time, he can speak to you anytime. And so just sitting on my couch, the thought came to my mind, mission accomplished. Your job was to transition the church from where it was to where it is today. Not from good to bad. It was great when you got there, but from glory to glory, from one season to a next and to the next. And I was like, wow, that thought came to my mind. And, I heard the words, good job, look for a successor, do a church audit. And God, it was like he gave me instructions in a preceding order. So I think if somebody's feeling a discomfort, it's a difference between conflict or frustration with team or frustration with operations or fatigue because of the weight of responsibility. Because over time, I had all that and looked forward to it. There's a challenge, let's go. There's a fight, let's go. There's an obstacle, let's go. Fatigue, we all have it. But I think it's a different thing when, you reach a point when you have to start asking hard questions about your time in a role, at a place, in a position. And, I get into it in the book. I'm launching classes in March around this, and I'm gonna do private Facebook groups to kind of get into detail in people's lives to kind of help specifically work through specific scenarios so I could speak more accurately. But with me, that's kind of what happened.
Wow, that's powerful. And it's like when I'm hearing you talk, it seems like when you made that decision, okay, God, this is, my season is up. Once you made that decision and put it out there, it seems like everything just kind of seemed to fall in place for you to make that transition for Reverend Sharp to take the place. Now, once you made that decision, after that, is that when Reverend Sharp came into the picture, or was that already in the workings of him being like
N-
V1 or?
no. So I wrestled with the idea of, I didn't know what the feeling was. If I could be honest, I was just like, I'm wondering and the other thing, which I think was very important, I had in the front of my mind, not overstaying, right? I didn't want to
Mhm.
overstay. And I had so many friends, not so many, but I had a few friends, a lot of friends called me and said a lot of stuff. Few friends called me and they were like, even beyond me, they had no vision. They don't want to go to their church. They don't want to. And so Sharp for me did not come until God put on my mind in May of 2018 that my time was up. And God put on my mind, do a church audit, not a financial audit. We do financial, internal, external audits, but do a
Okay.
organizational audit, see what's right, what's wrong. And then God said, find a successor. I was mortified. Like, that's so daunting. Like, I was like, where do I find a successor in the world?
Right.
Like, how do you do that? And God immediately calmed me down by putting on
Wow.
my heart, look to me. I know who the person is. I know what the person is. And I will help you find a successor. Because immediately I felt the weight of, number one, I got to tell Reverend Evans, who would never want me to go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, how do I tell him? And I got all this in the book. Like, I go through all the detail of how I told him. But I'm like, how am
Wow.
I going to tell him? And then, God, you want me to pick a successor. So I got to get somebody really good.
Really good, right? Like really good.
like like I got to make sure fellowship is great. I love these people, so I got to make sure they're well taken care of. I'm handing over my family to who now? Jesus. You want me to? So it was so much pressure, so much anxiety, so much responsibility, and I felt the weight of that. And God, not too long after, maybe in June, put on my mind the name Reginald Sharp.
Wow.
I had heard his name in passing a couple times, but I didn't know who he was. I had never seen him before. I never heard him preach. I didn't know how old he was. I didn't know anything about it. So when the name came to my mind, I went to Instagram to look at his face. I saw his face. I was like, I don't know if this is the guy, but let me inbox him. I was like, yo, I would love to have you come to fellowship sometime. I've never invited anybody that hadn't been recommended to me or I had not heard them myself. And I inboxed him and said, I'd love for you to come to fellowship sometime. And I think I asked him for his phone number and was like, let's talk. So he called me and he was kind enough to say, wow, it's amazing I'm on the phone with you. You are like a long distance mentor. And I was
Wow.
like, wow. So I was like, well, would love to have lunch with you. Where do you live? He said in Atlanta. I was like, whoa. I was like, we have a place in Atlanta. We're in Chicago right now, but we'll be in Atlanta
Right.
in the next week or two. Let's go to lunch. Let's take our wives to lunch. So we were at lunch for 4 hours at Papados. And so he says, man, this is amazing that we're sitting together because I feel called to Chicago, but I don't know why, because I don't like the cold. Me and my wife look at each other like, and in the book, I go through, the first chapter is about hints, nudges, and shoves, how God can get. So that was like another hint. It was like, me and my wife
Right.
looked at each other like, okay. So
Wow.
he said, I've been offered a few churches in Chicago, but I hadn't felt led to take those assignments. But I don't know. I don't know why I feel called to Chicago. I said, well, I tell you what, I travel a lot. So before you consider any of those other opportunities, there could possibly be a place for you on my team. And so he was like, okay. I said, hey, what are you doing the second Sunday in September, this 2018? He says, I'm booked. I said, cancel. He said, why? God is my witness. He could tell you. I said, it's Fellowship's church anniversary. He said, well, let me call the pastor that I'm going to and see if he'll let me cancel. So he calls the guy on the spot. The guy cancels. He's so kind to cancel. So here I am. I booked a total stranger to come do Fellowship's anniversary. But I felt a shove. As I talk about in the book, I'm out here and I'm doing this. I did it before I really thought about it. And it's like, but I felt like God wanted me to invite him. So then I said, have you ever been to Chicago? He said, yeah, but not to see anything. So I said, I want to bring you to Chicago as my guest and just hang out. So I flew him to Chicago. This is June, we're on the phone. June, we have lunch. So I fly him to Chicago, July, him and his wife. And me and my wife spend 2 days with him. We talk until 2 a.m. I ask him every question. It is an interrogation like you have never seen in your life. I am Perry Mason. I'm the detective on Power. I'm asking
Columbo.
him, listen, I'm Columbo, whoever else you want to name. I'm asking him every question because I'm like, I don't know at the time that he's my successor. I'm thinking this possibly could be the guy. And so it's so hard because I'm like, I got to get this right. And so we spent 2 days in Chicago. I give him a tour across the city and I invite him. He comes to the church in September and I told, this is going to be crazy. I've never said this. I told 2 people, my chief of staff, and I told one other member of my staff team, hey, I told them that I felt like my time was up. And then I told them the guy that I think could be the guy is preaching on the church anniversary. They both are very busy staff people. They both don't get a chance to sit in church like that because they're running all around. They both are sitting in church.
Oh no, they had to be there for this one.
They had to be there. So he preaches. It is literally like I see, I hear God saying, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. This is the guy. And it's like, I see like it's pandemonium, like people are crying and shouting and he preaches his face off. And it's literally like, I see like some angelic steam or something over him, not a halo, but it's just an epiphany, theophany. But God is like, that's the guy. And after he preached, I all but wanted to say, all right, everybody, this is your new pastor. I love everyone. I'm going to miss you guys so much, but this is the new guy. And, but I contained myself. I look at both of the people I had told and they nodded their heads. Yes. Mm-hmm. And, they were kind enough. They didn't want me to leave, but they were like, if you got to leave, this is the guy. So I do this in the book because the other thing about the book is succession, transition for other churches, pastors. Right. I lay out to the T how I did it, how I told people, how what my communication plan looked like internally, externally. You knew about it because I did a press release on purpose. Right. And the reason why I did a press release is the same reason why I did a video that ran in church and on YouTube. We get confused easily. And you remember the game telephone. You tell one person, they tell a person, by the time it gets back around, It ain't what was said.
It's not that. Right.
It is not that.
Right.
So
Right.
I wanted to make sure there was no confusion. The narrative was clear. The vision was clear. The plan was clear. And I didn't want anybody, as it said, in the absence of information, people use their imagination.
Right.
So we didn't want to leave any room for people. People make stuff up anyway. Whether you're visible or not visible, people make stuff up. We wanted to make sure that whatever people made up would not be what would stick on the wall, but would stick. And so
Right.
we wanted to explain, this is what this is why this is who is coming, because you wouldn't imagine there were people who immediately, a couple people were trying to figure out if they could pick their friend to be the pastor, or if they could bring somebody in and
Oh God. Right.
oh yeah, it would have been a mess if I hadn't picked a successor, because a couple people were like, well, he leaving and I know he announced somebody, but I got somebody who I think would be good. It was like, we're not finna do that.
Right.
It's done.
You had to take control. Wow. But
It is
that's a powerful
finished.
testimony, Pastor Jenkins. I mean, just think about it. If you had not done what you did, we wouldn't have had this book that you have. And it's definitely going to be a blueprint for so many, like, people, as individuals, as pastors, as leaders. I mean, it's going to serve as a blueprint. And I like that you're not just giving us a book, but you're coaching us through it, which kind of magnifies the message and what you've written in the book. So it just further, it punctuates what you put in the book. So I think that you're on point. You're on track, sir. You're moving in the right direction. God has ordered your steps.
I need a lot of help. I need all of Jesus' power and the Holy Spirit. I need a lot of help. But I'm gonna say this one other thing to you, Sonya. We wouldn't have a book, but probably two of my greatest comforts with how God led me to put this whole succession thing together is that Reverend Evans had peace.
Okay.
He closed his eyes, Sonya, 2 weeks before my retirement celebration.
Yeah,
His
I remember that.
homegoing was a week before my retirement celebration. And I was so hurt. I could start crying right now. I was so hurt. He was like my father, literally. But my friend, my senior advisor, and the fact, when I told him, he said, Jink, you made your mark on my life, fellowship. You've made your mark in this role on the city of Chicago and the world. You have my blessing to go on to do whatever you're going to do. Then when I brought Sharp to him and, I just kind of, helped kind of cultivate that relationship. When he closed his eyes, he was happy.
Yeah, that's good.
And for me, that meant the world to me, that there was no questions. He was happy. And my leaders, they were at peace once they heard him, spent time with him, because he was with me for 18 months before he took over. And one of the things that I'll say about that, when he passed away a few weeks before my retirement celebration, I was like, God, how unfair. Like, I was so hurt. I was like, how do I celebrate? It felt like it would be impossible. And God said to me, it had to happen this way. You started with him, you go out together, and this is your final exam. Before graduation, there's always a final exam. This is your final assignment. You took care of him for 20-something years. You will see him in the ground on your way out. This is your final assignment. And so that whole celebration, I didn't sleep for 9 days. An hour here, 2 hours here. But that was my final assignment. And that gave me the peace to celebrate. That God
Wow.
was like, this is graduation.
Amazing. Wow. Job well done, Charles Jenkins.
Was tough.
Job well done.
Woo!
You got through it though. And then the pandemic hit. Oh,
And all these
oh,
Bishop T.D. Jakes called me and said, after the pandemic hit, he said, why you didn't tell us? You left right before the pandemic. You knew this was coming. You didn't tell us.
God.
We laughed. I said, I didn't know. I had no idea. But listen.
Yep. I know it was crazy. Well, I'll let you go though, but congratulations on the music. We're supporting it, and also the book seasons. And we love your family, your wife, her brand new book, Enough. I spoke to her, and then your children. I know your daughter was a makeup line or beauty line. So you all of y'all are entrepreneurs in your own way. So congratulations on the success of the Jenkins family.
Well, I'm gonna say two things, and thank you for making time for me on that entrepreneurship thing. I've always kind of felt it. I did it, but I didn't know it was in my DNA until I looked at my bloodline. And so my grandmother was an entrepreneur. Several aunties were entrepreneurs. I'd never thought about it, but my father was an entrepreneur with two businesses, a landscaping company and a construction company. And when I realized it was in my bloodline, I embraced it and encouraged our family to embrace it. And so that made me look at this idea that there's so many of us that we got stuff in our bloodline that are generational blessings that we've ignored, that are innately in us where we could be successful. And then there are generational curses. It's awful stuff that is in our bloodline that we got to fight. It's innately in us. And so I just wanted to say for whoever that's for, that do some homework on your bloodline. It's some stuff that might be in you to do that you've never considered, but it's a snap of a finger away from you.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you so much, Charles Jenkins. We love you. We appreciate you, and can't wait to see you the next time you're back in Chicago, whatever that will be.
I'm coming in a couple weeks. Are y'all in the studio at all, or is everything in your car?
No, not really. No, not really. Like we have a home setups now, so.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll be in the city. I'm gonna come. Since it's pandemic, we're gonna come for like 2-3 weeks, and I'm gonna get my Harold's and my home of the hoagie.
Stock up.
My two fish. Yeah. 2 fish.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations on everything. Make sure you send me a copy of the book. I need a copy of the book.
I'm gonna send you a copy. Send me where you want me to send it to you.
Okay, I'll definitely do that, and we're behind you guys 100%.
I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell everybody I said hello.
All right, thank you, Pastor Jenkins. I'm sorry, Charles Jenkins.
You can say whatever you want. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.